Hello, my name is Nadia Buchanan,
And I'm Nina Murphy,
along with our colleague Sarai Nixon, who will be commentating throughout the video today.
and today we're going to be having a tutorial on computer assembly. So let's get right down to it.
So everyone, what we're going to talk about first is our computer case. Our computer case holds all the components that go to the computer inside. It has to match the form factor of the motherboard.
The motherboard is the base of operations. It's pretty much the huge circuit board chip that contains all of the connections that help maintain or even operate the computer in the first place. However, it needs some sort of power or electrical unit to even start it up, or else the computer won't even turn on without this.
And that power unit is going to be our power supply. Now our power supply is needed, again like she said, to supply power to all the components that go to the motherboard and to make the computer function. What the power supply does is convert AC to DC. AC is alternating current, DC is direct current. AC is unstable, so it needs to be converted into a stable power source to make sure that everything runs smoothly. So what I have on my wrist here is an anti-static wrist wrap, and what this does is ground me. I need to be grounded because I don't want any static electricity to build up and possibly shock and damage any of these chips. So I don't want to damage the RAM, and I also don't want to damage our CPU. Now I'm going to talk about our RAM first.
Go ahead.
Okay, so to install the RAM, you want to make sure that the microchips that you see here are not touched. You want to just hold the ends gently, and also make sure that you don't touch the pins at the bottom. Okay, they're very delicate. Now to insert it, you want to make sure it's black on black, and again, do not touch the microchips. I'm going to insert it into this slot. So I'm going to slide it down in there. Let's see. You want to hear a click to make sure it's in there. All right, it's in the slot. I'm going to do the same thing with the other chip. Make sure that the pins are facing this way, microchips facing outward, and insert it. Make sure, and if you hear a click, all right. Next, we're going to talk about our CPU. The CPU is the central processing unit. Our central processing unit is the executive of our motherboard. What it does is it processes data. It grabs information, program instructions to be specific, from the hardware, and it processes it and transfers it into RAM, random access memory, and that is going to run the program instructions. Now, on the CPU, the opposing side has a layout that you do not want to touch. It's very delicate and it's very easy to damage. It needs zero insertion force. So when I install it, it doesn't matter which way specifically, you just want to make sure that the pins are not being touched and you do not press it down at all. Also make sure that you're grounded, so either grab your computer case to ground yourself or wear an anti-static wrist wrap like I am. So I'm going to go, and I'm just going to gently place it onto the board.
And yeah. Now that the CPU is in the motherboard, we're going to be talking about the heatsink and fan that goes over the CPU. The heatsink is pretty much a piece of metal that connects to the CPU through thermal paste. The thermal paste is pretty much a thermal conductor for the CPU to be able to release its heat through the heatsink and go to the fan. The fan will take the heat and blow it away, therefore making sure the CPU does not overheat. So for a couple seconds, I'm going to be putting this on top and screwing it in.
When reassembling the computer, first we're going to put in our power supply. We're putting this in first because I want to make sure that none of the wires interconnect with the motherboard and cause anything to short circuit. Now when I put it in, I'm going to put it into this slot here, and I want to make sure that I hear a click to ensure that it's inserted correctly. All right. I'm going to tuck these wires here just to make sure there's not in the way of any other components.
Now we're going to insert the motherboard.
This is the hard drive. The hard drive is a secondary storage device that permanently stores and retrieves data on a computer, including pictures, music, videos, text documents, and any files created and or downloaded for the operating system and programs that are run on the computer. Insert, and once you hear a click, it's secure. The component that is now being shown is an optical drive. An optical drive is an input device that reads data from CDs and DVDs through a laser beam. This laser beam reads the bumps and dips on the optical discs as ones and zeros so the computer can understand. Slide the drive into the slot and listen for a click for security assurance. These two black cables are called SATA cables, or serial AT attachment cables. These cables deliver 1.5 gigabytes per second or 1500 megabytes per second of performance to the optical drive and hard drive. They are thin, flexible cables that offer airflow throughout the computer. Insert them into the corresponding ports and you're good to go.
All right, so now we're finished. We have installed the computer, all the internal components. Now we're going to put the computer case back together. I'm going to put on the front version of the computer case. So I'm going to stick it in the little slots at the bottom. Here and here. I'm going to slide it onto the top. All right.